Hello once again. My name is Jeff with the G, and it must be Monday because you have nothing better to do than spend time with me and my good friend Scabs a Clown, just right there. How's it going, Scabs?
Hi. Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It was an easy Monday. How are you?
It's been an easy Monday because I had today off, and so I luffed around and I worked on the other stuff I have on the network because I'm not going outside, and I'm on the low end, on the far end of anywhere getting the vaccine, so or at least the first
Yeah.
shot. Depending on how that goes as far as when that second shot's supposed to happen, the news is reporting with that weird bullshit. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird that it's like a two-part vaccine, but you got to wait a couple weeks for the second one.
it's because the dosage is so high for it. My understanding is your body can't handle it all at once, which is why it gets separated to two.
Okay.
Which I get that. I mean, I go, we can give you all of it once, but then you die. And I mean, that would cure you of COVID definitely because you would be dead. You don't have to worry about COVID anymore.
Yeah.
So there's that. No, it's yeah. So I've been staying home. I think since the last on your show we had New Year, so Happy New Year for everybody who's watching or will be watching.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I celebrated it by sleeping because I got home from work. Nothing in Austin. Austin's like, I mean, officially shut down. There's nothing big stuff. There were lots of crazy stuff happening in Sixth Street, from my understanding, but I'm not going anywhere near those drunk idiots. And so, yeah, I had an early night. But you had a much more exciting night. How did that all go out? Because you guys had a show there in Houston. How did that all go?
It was a fun show. It went pretty well. Stayed safe throughout the whole thing. Kept masks on when you were walking around. It was at Avant Garden, and we even had like sanitizer girls walking around. If anybody at their table wanted sanitizer, squirt, squirt. Yeah. So stayed as clean as possible.
I'm glad that there at least there was one show in Houston
And it
that
was
was
too
doing it
cold for me to
right.
get completely naked.
Uh, yeah, that's why there
Yeah.
are all the burlesquers there. So no,
Hmm.
I'm glad that there is at least one show that's happening out there that's trying to do it right to make sure everybody's safe, which I do appreciate. But like for every one good show, there's tons of bad ones. So please make sure you guys keep safe when you're going out and doing stuff.
Hmm.
Mask up, keep sanitized. If you're in a place where they're not doing it, cut out because I don't
Yeah.
care who you're trying to see. It is not worth it. Going to see some Ozzy Osbourne cover band is not worth your health. And that is a pointed dig.
Man, it seems like cover bands are getting a lot more work than like regular bands right now.
Well, it's there because the regular bands are being smart and they're going, I'm not going to get people sick. And the cover band's going, finally, it's my time. One
Yeah.
day, love will find you. Just uh, that, and because you can pay cover bands next to nothing versus the real bands where you actually have to pay money. So that's probably the other reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, today we're back to Gaffing the Truth. We're here every week, Mondays, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we talk about all sorts of weird shit. And this week, we thought we'd have some fun because we always like talking about cryptids because that's one of Scavs' favorite subjects, talking about cryptids. But we figured we'd talk about some of the because it's winter. In theory, we're in Texas. So we thought we'd talk about like winter cryptids or snow monsters and things like that because we thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of talk about that. There are a couple we could probably dedicate an episode to, and we might later on, but we figured it'd be kind of fun to kind of do like a shotgun approach at like some of them. We'll talk about some common stuff and then some lesser known ones. So yeah, let's get you started, Scabs. What sort of fun, weird cryptid shit did you come across of the quote unquote winter or cold variety?
This is an interesting story. I've heard it a couple of times, but let me see if I can find a good one for it. Something strange happened on the cold night of 8th February 1855 around the Exe estuary in Devon, England. That winter was extremely cold. According to reports from the time, temperatures remained around freezing from January until March. Low temperatures did not allow snow to melt, and every new snowfall just added a new layer over the terrain. These extreme weather conditions were the perfect setup for strange events of that night. According to the few witness accounts from that time, after a heavy snowfall and blah blah blah, reports about let's see, uh, mysterious hoof marks appeared all over South and East Devon. The hoof marks were reportedly to be around 4 inches long, 3 inches across, between 8 and 16 inches apart, and mostly in single file. Reports about these footprints came from around 30 different locations in Devon. The combined footprints had a reported length of between 40 and 100 miles. It seemed like the creature that left the traces could overcome any obstacle. Footprints were found over houses, frozen rivers, haystacks, snow-covered roofs, high walls, and also inside drain pipes. So basically, like there was just these weird hoof prints that were just all over the town. And if it came up on a wall, the footprints appeared up on top of the roof, or anywhere else. And it was a reported thing of maybe just a town that was really fucking bored in the winter, or something. But I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's like a whole story about it. But from what I
Yeah, I
remember, like,
actually, yeah, I remember. I know a little bit about the story because it's all. They also refer to it as the Devil's Footprints. Uh, and naturally, if people
yeah,
watch
it
my
was the
other
Devil's
show,
Footprints.
I'm really fascinated by the Devil's Footprint. Anything devil related, to be fair. Uh, Also, Spring Hill Jack is also a very common thing to talk about for that sort of stuff as well, and lots of other stuff. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, that was also around the time period for Spring Hill Jack as well. So, which is another sort of
Yeah,
cryptid meets serial killer sort of thing. That's
yeah. I
very
was actually
common.
going to bring up Spring Hill Jack.
Oh, we can talk about Spring Hill Jack because that's I think those fall right line in line.
Yeah, and I mean, this could be like, I don't know, somebody was bored and just did this, or the whole town just came together and like, let's tell a story, and the story just kind of got out of hand, and it spread to other places, and people thought it was real. Who knows?
It could be
But
kids, kids and sticks. I mean, we've seen what can happen with people doing crop circles.
oh yeah,
So it wouldn't surprise me. And the fact is, like I think I believe on Amazon I can buy shoes that have the footprints of animals. So
yeah. Back in 1855, Amazon,
that's true. Well, at the time they didn't call it Amazon; they called it the
the
Yellow
tax
Express.
master.
Yeah, Taxmaster. He rode. Oh, no. No, that's really interesting. I think the fact is like all they found was like a ton of stuff. I lead to believe that it was partially kids pulling on shenanigans, some drunken idiots because the fuck else are you gonna do? And you know,
Mm.
ancient like what else are you
Ancient,
gonna do? Ancient,
ancient
uh,
England.
ancient England of 200 years ago. It's the before, like it's the before times. I mean, what else do you have to do besides get drunk? Uh, have unprotected sex with ladies of the evening, and then leave weird hoof prints all over the place.
Yeah, and they were getting drunk because it's 1855 and it's covered in snow for like 3 or 4 months, and you're just like, you know what? I'm getting drunk.
Shameful, people just getting drunk and drinking.
Yeah, when they're stuck inside their houses.
Yeah, it's horrible, horrible thing. I'm actually out of beer right now, so I'm going to my whiskey because I always have whiskey, and I only drink beer with you. But unfortunately, I ran out last show, so
It
thought about
happens. I thought about
yeah,
actually picking up some whiskey, but took care of some other things.
that's fair. I mean,
Hmm.
that stimulus check's going to do a lot of whiskey for me. Not true, but
Oh, I
it'll
already
get to
got
some
mine, and
whiskey.
it went to a
It'll
lot
go
of
to
different
some
stuff.
whiskey, but not $600 worth of whiskey. No, no, actually, get off subject. Our mutual friend, Miss Mary Jane Green, is downsizing. She's moving into like a tiny home thing, and so she was selling off a silk screen printer, and I went sold for like stupid, like it's an expensive printer, and I got a really good deal on it. So I just have to meet her at some point halfway because apparently it's a big monster of a machine. But hey, I'll have a silk screen printing machine, so I can start making those Elvis Shot Kennedy shirts that you can get for gaffing the truth. because that's going to be a thing. I'm gonna get done with this thing now. I have a thing. I'm making because you know me, I get bored of toys. I go, oh, cool. Let me figure out how to make the shows work. All right, I got that figured out. Now I can start making merch. So it's gonna be fun. Let's get back to some weird cryptid
Yeah,
stuff again.
you're just gonna be like drunk in the middle of the night, bored, just making shirts.
Oh, it's gonna happen. You know me and my love of making. You know me and my love of shirts. So yeah, I'm gonna have some like. There's gonna be lots of one-off
Mm-hmm.
originals on the screen. And people are gonna go, "What?" I mean, just let's talk
Yeah.
about let's talk about America's hats. Canada. They have a thing called the snow wasset, which actually has a Latin taxonomy with Mustelenopsis subitivorax. Yeah.
Can
So
you say
this
that
thing,
10 times fast?
no. Uh, it's a migratory animal that winters in the lumbering region between the Great Lakes and Hudson Bay. It spends its summers up in Labrador. It says to hibernate only during the warmest weather, of which then its hair turns green. Depends, it's a mammalian looking creature. So its hair turns green and it curls up in cranberry marshes and sleeps. Uh, During the summer, it also has some kind of rudimentary legs, so it can kind of creep around slowly and still remain in the shade. After the first major snowstorm that hits, it sheds off its legs to go like slithering through the snow
Mm-hmm.
because, of course, that's the best way to get through snow.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't mean on top of snow. I mean through the snow, like burrowing through the snow. Um, Now, apparently, it has a voracious appetite, only comparable to the wolverine, and but since it is 4 times as big and 40 times as active as a wolverine, it must eat correspondingly more. So it's 4 times as big as a wolverine, which is the size of a like a medium sized dog. So it's a big thing. It's almost like it's like the size of my dog. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and apparently it goes through like that. There's only been one specimen of this beast ever properly examined by white men, anyways, and it was an imperfect one on James Bay, where a party of surveyors found an Native American. It doesn't say that, but it just who was in a peculiar canoe, which, upon examination, was shown to have been made from one wasset hide. I also said wabbit hide. Wasset hide greatly stretched. And as there was no leg holes in the white winter pelt, it was peculiarly adapted to make shapely one-man canoes. Um, and also said it had been used as sleds. So yeah, it's this weird, like furry, burrowing, legless creature that likes to go and eat things in the snow. Canada, everybody. It's America's Australia.
Yeah. I like while you were reading that one, I found a similar one, but uh, this one is tassel worms. Tassel worms are lizard-like creatures that are supposed to inhabit the most isolated regions of the Alps.
Okay.
Although accounts of their size and appearance vary, they are typically said to be around 2 to 5 feet in length, with a broad cat-like head and wide gaping mouth. Their forelimbs are short and armed with long claws, but they have no hind legs, and instead of their bodies taper into a long snake-like tail. Numerous sightings of the creatures, which are known as Tatzelworms in German, Arassas in France, stolen worms in Switzerland, Bergtützens in Austria, and Basiliscos in Italy have been made all over the Alps, including recent spate of sightings reported in Italy's Il Giorno newspaper as recently as 2009.
Okay. So weird
Basically the
ice
same
worms.
thing.
Yeah. Kinda. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of so like at least something burrowing. It may. Yeah, it's similar enough with the idea of like it kind of burrows through the snow. I mean, that respect, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
could be. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Just I mean, drunk people are everywhere.
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
small
Just trying
dogs.
to crawl home through the snow like, ah!
Yeah, I mean, I've seen small like dogs go through snow and stuff like that. They can make their appearance at Burnley, especially with a high enough snowdrift. It's easier to go through than over sometimes. So
Yeah.
when I was growing up as a kid, my grandmother lived
I
in
wouldn't know. I've
northern
never seen
Illinois.
snow.
My grandmother lived in northern Illinois, so imagine a two-story house where snow drifts will go up to the second floor window, and so yeah, like it was kind of cool to like you can open the
Jesus.
upstairs window and just like sled down. Uh, it took my brother and brother-in-law were there, and it took them like I don't know like 2 hours to dig out the back door because you'd open the back door up and it was just snow and just like start going. So you just had to dig out, and it just wasn't easy to anyways, but just it took a while because that drift was big. Snow's fine. It's cool for about 10 minutes, and then you get cold, and then wet and cold, and I just don't care for it anymore. But there's some people who love it. Good for you guys. It's cool to look at from a distance. I have no desire to be in it. There, snow. uh,
Sorry. No, I clicked on this random website. It was
Pornhub. I
just
get it.
said, just a list of cryptids, just to, you know, and I'm scrolling through it and okay, there's a poster with some cryptids on it. They got like Bigfoot and the Yeti and Chupacabra and Loch Ness Monster. And apparently it's here tiers, Adventures and Heroes, instructors, Kevin J and Johnny H. Tech support is Rick. Days on Mondays. Block times 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Weeks. It's a 6-week course. Start and end date September 14th to October 19th. Makeup, if necessary, due to a class postponed, and makeup will be done on October 26th. Primary location on Zoom. Min to max, 3 minutes to 8 minutes. Notes, any supply lists or necessary materials will be on the class essential list, which will be ready by September 1st. Cost $125. So I just want anybody watching this to know that we're giving this information away for free.
But if you want to give us some, just a couple of shekels, I mean, we got to keep ourselves in liquor.
Yeah, we
you
can't
can
do
use
this
that.
sober.
Yeah, that's very true. Scabs' Venmo at Scabs, and mine is at devils.hour. Buy us at least buy us each a virtual shot. We'd appreciate it. And if it pops up on late, like if it pops up today and it happens, I'll do the shot live. And if not, then I will like you do it later when you do the rewatch. I'll do it the next show live. Just say, hey, so and so tipped.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like we're going out and doing stuff. I mean, Scabs is, but I'm not.
No, only when I have to.
That's fair. I mean, they got to pay you money. I mean,
Yeah.
that's fair. Yeah, if you pay me money to go out, I might consider it, but it depends on how much money it is. I mean, there's levels. I mean, if you give me, we have a mutual friend who I'm not going to name here. He had a big gig over the holiday, and I was talking to him about it. Like he's quarantining himself now because of his family, but it was like almost fuck you money that he was paid to do a gig that at a location where to walk in, everybody masked up. But the moment they went inside, masks came off, and he was required to do up close stuff with people. So, but apparently
Mm,
he was paid fuck you money, which is for the people the vernaculars. That's a lot of money. So
yeah.
which I get. I mean, actually, yeah, but it's still one of the things I go. Whoa, that'd be a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Hmm. So you got another one?
Oh yeah, let's talk
Because
about
I've
the
got a couple.
Yuki.
This one might be a little in depth though, because I've heard this story,
Well, let's
but
my next one's kind of it's big-ish, but it's fine. I want to talk about the Yuki Onna. Yuki Onna is a also known as the Snow Woman, who is kind of a cryptid slash spirit from Japan. Now she goes by different names depending on how you see her, which also depends on what province you're in or prefecture of Japan. So
mm,
sometimes it's the Yuki Hoa, which is like the snow daughter. There might be the Yuki Onba, which is like the snow granny, or the Yukinba, which is like the like snow hag, that sort of stuff. Depends on where you see it. Um, Depending, and also like while stories are similar, they're also kind of different, but they all get lumped together. So a lot of it is like the legends state like something like a beautiful woman came to visit a man and became his wife from the woman's own desire, is the idea. Then this woman reluctantly went to go into the bath. Luckily, was reluctant to go into a bath, but went in anyway. And then once she went in, disappeared, leaving only a thin, fragmented, floating icicles.
Hmm.
And then and then it varies as far as other things like, but a lot of it comes down, or like Yuki Ono would come visit. So was it like there's some story in the Yamagata region where like Yuki Ono would come and visit an old couple on a snowy night to warm herself there. Then late at night, Yuki Ono would again go out on the journey. The old man would attempt to take her hand to stop her when he noticed that she was chillingly cold. Then, before his eyes, the girl turned into a whirl of snow and then exited the house with a chimney. Basically, it's like a snow spirit sort of stuff going on. Where's the one thing? Because like, there's a lot of like weird, like, each prefecture has like a different kind of story. Anywhere there was like a one-legged child jump walking in the night where snow accumulates, and there would be but there's like seeing a one-legged child walk around in the snow, but we didn't find the child, that sort of stuff. Uh, there was one where here we go. They said they were thought to steal the people's vitality. They were supposed to take the livers out of children and freeze people to death.
Hmm.
And it says,
Interesting.
yeah, stuff like that. So it is said that if one does not answer when called by a Yuki Onna, one would be shoved down to the bottom of the valley. So if they call out to you, you have to say yes. Otherwise, they're just going to kick you down the mountain. Um, so that's always nice. And then, I mean,
Rude.
there's tons of these little stories. I'm like, there's like, it's actually really fascinating as far as these, like, basically, it's like each prefecture in Japan um, has its own kind of story that deals with this creature that's similar-ish, as in like it's a spirit or a creature made from snow and ice, but their need for what they're wanting to do is very different, like ranging anywhere from being water beggars. Uh, and then they ask for water and then disappear, or if you give them cold water, they would try to kill some of your household. But if you give them hot tea, they'll go away, so on and so forth. It's just really weird. But I thought it was really fascinating, and like Japan culture in general, when it
Hmm.
comes to like spirits and creatures and stuff like that, they get really involved. I mean, they're like, I mean, you think the Greeks are really involved with their stuff, with their creative, their mythology and stuff like that, but Japan is like next level when it comes to really experiencing. Like you almost get like their driver's license numbers when they try to explain these creatures out. So, but yeah, so like this weird snow lady likes cold water and turns into the snowstorm and may or may not push you down a hill if you don't talk to her. As opposed to in America, if you try to talk to a
Hmm.
lady, she definitely will push you down the hill. So
Yeah. And the whole thing I take away from that story is just like, I don't know, man. Just, I guess, growing up in this time period, living in a city all of my life, it's like some random person came knocking on my door. I'm like, I wouldn't even answer. And they'd be like,
well, I
I
mean,
need food, please. It's like, what? No, I'm not going to give you ice water or tea. Fuck off. Like,
no habla whatever you're speaking. Uh, well, it's yeah, but
yeah. Right?
this is rural. I mean, okay, like Japan for the longest time was like just considered. I mean, it still is like people think of Tokyo as all of Japan, but Tokyo is the only thing big, like that. Most of Japan is still very rural.
That's weird. Well,
So yeah,
I
people
found
forget.
one that I had totally forgotten about. And this one's more of like it's a story that it pops up on creepypasta stuff a lot. But I've seen it, in other instances. And it's one of those like It's like, that's not real. That's a hoax. And it's like, well, so Bigfoot's real though? Yeah. And it's not Slender Man. But also a fun thing that I saw at the top of this website is Fiji mermaid has become the generic term for the many fake mermaids that can be found around the world.
That's fair.
But yeah, have you ever heard of organism 46B?
No, I don't believe I'm aware of that.
It's a really cool story, whether it's real or not. Organism 46B was an enormous 33-foot long, 14 tentacled squid like creature which lived in Lake Vostok, a subglacial lake located under 2 miles of ice beneath Vostok Station in the Antarctic. The animal had limbs that were animate and aggressive, and even after amputation, could release a toxin into the water to immobilize its prey. From the distance of up to 150 feet, displayed an astonishing degree of shape shifting and showed considerable degree of both hostility and intelligence. So, okay, Vostok Station, established by the Soviets in 1957, was discovered to have been sighted atop a vast body of liquid water beneath the ice in 1974, which was subsequently named Lake Vostok after the station. After 30 years of ice core drilling, the research team finally breached through to the lake on the 5th of February 2012. This must have occurred sometime between then and the 30th of November 2016 when the story first broke, although exact dates have so far proven impossible to track down. Dr. Anton Podolka claims to have been part of the first scientific expedition to explore the lake. We encountered organism 46B on our first day. It disabled our radio, which we later learned to our alarm was intentional. It is also able to paralyze prey from a distance of up to 150 feet by releasing its venom into the water. Tragically, my colleague and lifelong friend was killed this way. Later, while diving in the lake, the group was attacked. The creature releasing its venom, which took hold of one of them. The organism then proceeded to kill and eat him. As Podolka stated, he tread water wearing a blissful smile as the organism approached him. We watched helplessly as it used its arms to tear off its head, then popping its remains into its mouth. It was as if it had hypnotized him telepathically. Still later, 46B stalked the group, displaying the shape-shifting ability. It shaped itself into the form of a human diver. We thought it was one of my colleagues swimming towards us in scuba gear. By the time the closest scientists had realized what it had grabbed him and torn him to bits. Escaping the creature, a member of the team managed to lop off one of 46B's tentacles. Although the severed limb attacked the group again, later that night it slid across the ice bank and strangled her, stated Podolka. After finally trapping the creature in a tank, the surviving members of the team brought it to the surface where they claim Russian officials seized the beast and told the international press that nothing had been found. So whether it's real or not, it's a cool fucking story.
It's the thing.
Yeah, right?
Literally, it's just I'm listening to it. I'm going, it's the thing. It's like literally what it is. They
Mm-hmm.
just substitute because like it was Norwegians and supposed to Russians because it's also the thing. 1982 is the thing. I should stress with Kurt Russell, the John Carpenter film, is set also in Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, as you told me, I was going, it's a thing. So I pulled up because I'm going to go off and I'm going to talk about the thing for the moment because I figured it's a great movie, anyways. But
It's honestly one of my favorite movies. I love the practical effects. There are no digital effects. Or not. Well, I take that back. There are no computer generated effects in the movie.
yeah, I mean, there's some stuff because they did film on sound stages in L.A., so there was some stuff they had to fake. Uh, but no,
Yeah,
it's like
even the
fun.
opening scene with the UFO flying through, that's actually a UFO like on a little piece of like just a fake UFO, and they like pan the camera next to it and it lights up and everything. And the way they did the opening thing where they showed the thing and the name, they had a light on a black screen and burned that part so that all that showed through was the thing, and it looked really cool.
No, it's an amazing film, and the fact is like some interesting fun fact. Other what's really weird is that that movie, like, unfortunately, I don't know what it is about John Carpenter films, and I noticed like it's like made like this movie, like Big Trouble in Little China, which I talked about, I think, on a different chat. Uh, but they're one of the they're like a lot of his movies don't do well initially, and then a year or so or 2 years later, get this huge cult following. And The Thing is definitely one of those movies. Um, what's really interesting, the fact is that for the stations in for the actual stations that are in Antarctica for real life, uh, they make a point like every June 21st for a midwinter feast, because it's winter down there at that time of year. Is the stations get together and watch The Thing, which I think is amazing. So they just, they go, it's time to watch The Thing, because just ha ha ha, it's ha 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 ha. So who wants a blood test? Um, and really, it was the idea that the whole blood test scene, that when John Carpenter read it, goes, "Yep, that's the movie I want to make next," because he liked the idea of a monster movie where it wasn't a dude in a rubber suit, which is what his big complaint about Alien was,
Yeah.
because towards the end of Alien, spoiler alert, there's a dude in a rubber suit. But up until that point, Alien's really good. Uh, it's like Jeepers Creepers is awesome until you saw what the creature was. Then I hated it. Uh, but anyway, no, just
And
really,
found
really,
out about the director.
yeah, yeah. So that makes sense. No, it's no, it's one of those really, really great, films. It's a really, really interesting story. I was not aware of that. I expect, because it came from the '50s. Like, also the opening shot with the UFO for the '83 The Thing is is a complete homage to The Thing from back in the '50s. The one
Mhm.
where the Marshall Dillon from Gunsmoke was the alien and had a weird bulbous
Yeah, I
head.
never saw the new one because I didn't want it to be ruined for me. So
Okay, so the one that's a prequel.
is it the prequel? Oh yeah, it's supposed to be the Russians or something.
It's
Yeah,
supposed to
no,
be. It's
yeah, I
supposed to.
never saw it.
It's the Norwegian team and what happens to them.
Yeah, Norwegian. Sorry, yeah, but yeah, no, I
And I've
no,
heard
I
decent things. It just didn't add anything. That's the other thing. They go, it's pretty good, but it's just I could just watch
it's
The Thing
yeah, just a
again.
popcorn flick. Yeah. Either way, also, in the beginning of the movie when the Norwegian, like, they're shooting at the dog,
Yeah.
and they finally land the helicopter, and he says something before he gets killed. He actually tells the entire plot of the movie.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, if you spoke Norwegian, like, and like, so when they did it up in Finland and Norwegian and stuff like that, they dubbed a different language to kind of keep with that as well. So
Yeah,
instead of, I want to say it was like they did it in like Russian, or they probably actually did Russian, or they may have. It can do like English is common enough in Europe that they had to do some other language that wasn't. I don't remember what it was,
yeah.
but yeah. Just say that it took Kurt Russell over a year to grow that glorious beard and mane of hair that he sports. It's which he now turned gray to be Santa Claus, because it's the same fucking beard and hair, just
Yeah.
gray.
I always forget that there's a video game of the
Oh, that's
thing.
right. Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty
I
good.
never
Except,
played it, but I hear like in the opening scene, you actually come up on both of them dead. Uh,
because you're actually
well,
see,
yeah, Kurt Russell and I can't think of the other actor's name. The dude from
was
They
the
Live,
yeah Keith David.
Keith David. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also there's speculation, and I think it was confirmed at one point that Keith David actually was the thing at the end of the movie.
It could be. It's one of those, like, that was also the fun. The fact that you didn't know exactly who it was, because everybody was. It's like if people play Among Us now, that's fucking thing is Among Us, because you don't know who's sus or who's not. Everybody's cagey as shit. You don't know who to trust. Even like the quote unquote hero McCready, you're still not 100% sure with McCready either, which is kind
Mm-hmm.
of cool. But that's also like John Carpenter's genius of that sort of stuff, is like making this sort of thing. Like the thing, and he called it the first of his Apocalypse trilogy. So he had the Thing, then he did Prince of Darkness, which was fucked up beyond all recognition, and then In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh yeah,
All three
Lovecraft.
glorious films, but yeah, they take it takes a couple of years for you really to appreciate, because they're weird. all of them, like the populace just goes, "What? Huh?" And then 5 or 6 years later, go, "Oh, I get it." Unless it's
Mhm.
Ghosts of Mars, which has always been garbage. Sorry, John.
Hey, that was Ice Cube's best work, okay?
And
You know,
I mean,
most of his
yeah, Chris
discography,
Tucker came.
NWA,
Yeah,
Friday, um,
I
yeah,
mean, Chris
everything
Tucker
up until Are We There Yet?
basically. Well, yeah, Ice Cube always had a strong comic partner to kind of do the heavy lifting. Like Friday, Chris Tucker, and then he had Mike Epps
Mhm.
afterwards, who was like fine because he did the other Friday movies, and then like there's one or two other movies they did together, and then it was the he did the movie with Kevin Hart. He did those two movies with Kevin Hart.
Yeah, the
Because
Are We There Yet? Or no, what was it? Daddy
because
Daycare or something?
no,
No.
no, no, Dad, no. It was that shit. I don't remember. I remember it's like I saw the movies because he like because oh actually no Ice Cube played the cop and Kevin Hart was playing like the guy who's trying to get with his daughter and something. So he's trying to make good with his dad. I don't remember the name. It doesn't matter. Actually, Ice Cube's
Mhm.
best movies are the 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Streets.
Yeah, those are pretty good. But also, I like that we kind of went full circle and started talking about the thing, and now we made it back to Ice Cubes for our
Yeah,
Ice
I know,
Cryptid show.
right? Hey,
I've got a quick one that's actually since been proven to be fake. Well, not fake. It's a thing that happened that everybody equated to Cthulhu or the Kraken or any other, giant sea beast. The bloop. You ever heard of the bloop?
oh yeah, the underwater whoop.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
bloop was a powerful ultra low frequency underwater sound of uncertain origin detected by the NOAA, National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, in 1997 in the South Pacific. According to earlier speculations, the sound would have been emitted by a very large, still undiscovered marine mammal, which would also be named bloop after the sound. However, in 2012, the NOAA determined that the sound is consistent with noises generated via non-tectonic cryoseisms originating from glacial movements such as ice calving or an ice quake seabed gouging by ice, quote unquote. The previous explanation, however, is not disqualified.
whale
So
fart.
yeah, it was no that wouldn't surprise me if it was a whale fart like right next to like one of the underwater microphones. But
Okay.
the bloop would have to be about 3 times the size of a blue whale for it to generate the sound that it did.
I don't know. It depends on it depends on what it ate. I mean, you can get some really gassy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you give me some of that those little taco truck tacos. I could bloop for you.
I had fried fish and meat pies yesterday. I was very gassy today.
There was a bloop in the household there.
No, when I got in my work truck today for work, there was bloops in there that made me roll the windows down. Oh, and also, I shouldn't tell this online, but fuck it. Um, I'm a delivery driver for my day job. Some of y'all know that if you're watching this. I stopped in a really fancy restaurant to drop off some wine today and used the restroom and had like I said, a very pungent meat pie and fish shit. And the
It
toilet was
blooped.
broken.
Bloop the toilet. All right.
Yeah, the toilet would not flush. So
You're welcome. I
yeah.
don't mask it
So
over there anyways.
speaking of broken toilets, you got another one for us?
Yeah, I figured because we got about 20 minutes left. I think this might. I think us talking back and forth about this is. I think We'll talk about the hairy elephant or hairy man in the room. Let's talk about the Yeti, aka
Well,
Abominable Snowman.
I've got one
Uh,
before we get into that actually.
all right, let's do that because I want to like I'm like because there's different aspects of the fucking thing. 'Cause there's a lot of shit
Oh,
about just that, but we can go over the other stuff before we like just deep dive into that big hairy man from way up north.
yeah. Let's see. This one is called the Ninja. I mentioned this before we got online earlier. They look really interesting. There's videos of a couple of them and pictures. Um, Over the past few years, rumors have circulated in Japan about the existence of Arctic humanoid life forms inhabiting the icy waters of the Antarctic, reportedly observed on multiple occasions by crew members of government operated whale research ships. These so called ningen meaning human, are said to be completely white in color with an estimated length of 20 to 30 centimeters. Eyewitnesses described, or meters, not centimeters, sorry. That's pretty big. Eyewitnesses describe them having a human like shape, often with legs, arms, and even five fingered hands. Sometimes they're described as having fins or a large mermaid like tail instead of legs, or even tentacles. The only visible or identifiable facial features are the eyes and mouth. According to one account, crew members on deck observed what they initially thought was a foreign submarine in the distance. When they approached, however, it became clear from the irregular shape of the thing that it was not man made, it was alive. The creature quickly disappeared underwater. Japanese publication devoted Antarctic humans. The article speculated on the possibility of unidentified creatures inhabiting southern seas, and it included a Google Earth screenshot showing what looks like a ningen in the South Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Namibia. To date, no solid evidence has been presented to confirm the existence of the ningen. The government is believed to have kept detailed records of the sightings, but they have released no records of the sightings or information to the public, and have reportedly instructed eyewitnesses to remain silent. Ningen sightings seem to occur most frequently at night, making them all the more difficult to photograph. In still images, the sea cryptids mostly just look like ice, though it is said that their smooth human-like skin can be seen when the photographs are enlarged. In any case, no convincing photographs have been made public either, because they do not exist, or because, as some argue, the government does not want to invite undue scrutiny and tarnish the scientific reputation of the whale research program.
Yes, because the government cares about other things like whales.
Yeah, that's why they won't tell us that aliens are real. They'll
Because
just
of
be like, I'm
whales.
not saying they're not real, but I'm not saying they're not real.
But don't mess with our whales.
Yeah.
Um, I actually believe that probably most likely, probably like when you're telling with this, it's like, oh no, it's just like some weird like disfigured whales or some shit like that, or
Mm-hmm.
some squid or what. Like it's basically squids and whales are probably what take up the majority of what this the different sightings are, because squids can get that long. That is true. Whales definitely can get that long, and if you get like a good
Mm-hmm.
like albino like beluga or something like that, yeah, their appearance at a distance, cold and chattering. I mean, they can get that appearance because they could they have that short face, and so they can look at a glance you might almost think that they look almost humanoid.
Yeah.
But that's it is true that there's a ton of stuff we do not understand in our ocean, because that's just how there's just so much of it.
Yeah. We know,
I
the size and shape and, rock consistency of planets that are billions of miles away, but we barely know our own ocean.
We know more than what people like. It's one of those things I go. It's like it's also a misnomer, is we actually know a ton about it, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
such an easy dig to say. We don't know that much. We actually there's a lot more than what people realize, because if only because of oil is the reason we know as much as we do. I'll be honest about it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of oceanographic research in a lot of places because they're trying to find oil. So there's a lot of stuff, but there's still a ton of stuff we still don't know, and we can only go so deep for some stuff, because the pressure gets too big. Like like where the Titanic sank, we can't go down there. It is too deep for us to take. We can do
Oh, yeah.
little kind of subs, but nothing big because the pressure is so great that we can't really do it that well.
Mm-hmm.
Same goes with the Mariana Trench, which goes even deeper, where we have found creatures that do not live on sunlight but live on geothermal. They do geothermal synthesis. I don't remember the name of it, but that's how the plants, everything like that, uses the earth's
Mm-hmm.
warmth and that sort of stuff versus photosynthesis. So like it changes the whole thing like that. So yes, there's things that we still do not know. And those things we can
Oh
never
yeah, of
see
course.
in live either because they can't survive up here.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The pressure fucks with them too. Like the first time they brought up a angler, the ones with like the little lights on them, like
yeah,
it like pretty much exploded on the way up.
yeah, they can kind of with planning they can probably plan for some stuff, but it's very been like it's like bringing it up in its own pressurized thing. But that's really hard and expensive to do. But anyway, detract. Yes, there's probably things we don't understand, but the idea of some 50-foot tall swimming white man is highly unlikely. That's what I'm getting at. As far as fact is, yes, there are lots
Yeah,
of stuff we can
but
understand, but a 50-foot tall dude swims in the ocean.
yeah, but a 10-foot tall hairy one walking through the snow, yeah, that's believable
Oh, I don't believe that
because
either.
Yeti, woo,
I
snowman.
think no, that's another. Yeah, yeah, more people believe in the Yeti because it's just it's
I
well,
found it
I
in
mean,
before we
I
actually
mean,
get into that because we don't have too much longer.
yeah.
Yeah, but there's the Alaskan giant polar bear, also sighted in Greenland, Alberta, and Quebec. One saw a giant white bear with two heads in their gondola ride in Alberta in the wintertime. Not impossible. Another sighting in Quebec when French elder woman was sitting inside a restaurant drinking hot chocolate when she saw a huge white mass of fur running down a hill, and expedition found nothing. But this one actually has some merit because these giant polar bears may be a remnant population of Ursus martimus tyrannus, otherwise known as the Pleistocene polar bear. This bear was over 11 inches taller than the modern polar bear and is known from a fragmented fauna found in the Thames River, Newbridge, London. So, I mean, yeah, giant bear.
Well, I mean,
Because
especially
polar
like
bears
well,
are already pretty big. They say it's
all the
bigger
fact
than the Kodiak, and Kodiaks are huge. And if it's 11 inches
Kodiak is
bigger
the
than
biggest
that,
bear, so it's like and it's
yeah,
already
and if
been
it's 12
it's
inches
already
taller
been
than that, then of course it's going to look massive.
and it's already been determined that due to global warming, those species can interbreed. So you can get what they call growler bears, because like a grizzly meets polar bear, growler bear. They get fucking huge. So it wouldn't surprise me. Some people saw some of the early remnants of the growlers. That is those things do exist because they can't interbreed. It's like, and they actually can rebreed. Unlike like say like ligers and Tyons, which are
Even horses and
breed.
donkeys.
Yeah, or yeah, those things because they can breed once, but their children can't. They don't produce a mule variety. Like the growlers can breed still, so they're
Mm-hmm.
close enough genetically that they can still keep going. So it's just one of those where you kind of go. I think that's partially true. Something that large with two heads is unlikely, just because typically just from studies of like when it comes to genetic anomalies, something like that, lifespans are generally shortened, and for something to get that big means they have to be alive for quite a while. So that's the only reason why
Yeah,
I say it's
but I mean, the
unlikely
ones that do tend to make it that big with a second head, it's a dead head.
at best if it exists that long. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but as I said, it's one of the things that is now. It's most likely it probably ripped the head off another one, and you just happen to see that head in its mouth, and you thought it was both the heads together or something. That probably more likely. Um,
Yeah,
what's weird is like in Tibet, they actually Tibet they have a thing called the zute, which is which for their translation stands for cattle bear, which includes like the Himalayan brown bear, which is one of those things they talk about when they go. Maybe that's what they're talking about when they're talking about the Yeti. So which they had large bears there at some point too, so that makes sense. Or the Miche, which translates from man bear, which is also that sort of thing. I mean, I could talk about the Yeti properly, but everybody knows it. I mean, you've watched the Rankin and Bass special with Rudolph and his big,
yeah,
and that's what the abominable snowman is. I mean, that's really what. Or I will.
yeah. There's also
Uh,
the Bumble.
yeah, the app. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah, the
That we.
Bumble's bounce. We saw that in that documentary, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
That's right. Yeah, that's very very true. Uh, no. As far as ideas, I wanted to kind of get really into like more of the deep delving as far as the actual like the Yeti versus the abominable snowman, because the abominable snowman is the anglicized version of the weird mountain creature, which will go with that. But the fact is that that's why they Tibet will refer it more to as the Miche, the Zute, versus the Yeti, or even the abominable snowman. In Russian folklore, there's what they call the kukuna, sorry, said to dwell in Siberia, and it's described to be 6 to 7 feet tall, covered in dark hair, and basically they actually say it's more or less about being it's what's interesting about that is they actually equate it to being a very large man, more in tune with like saying a Neanderthal, who
Mm-hmm.
lives on with pelts and stuff like that, and consumes human flesh and whatnot. And so it's a little bit different in respect for the other creature, like the abominable snowman and stuff like that. Well, even the abominable snowman, they say it's like a missing link thing, but the Kukena is more Neanderthal, which is a different humanoid species. Uh, so I find that interesting. The abominable snowman was actually coined in 1921 by Lieutenant Colonel Charles Howard Bury, who led a 1921 British Mount Everest reconnaissance expedition. And apparently, as he was climbing the snow really high up, he saw some weird tall creature. And his Sherpa goes, "Oh, I saw tracks." He goes, "Oh, that must be the wild man of the snows," uh, which is the Mitokagme, which means man, bear, snowman. And so,
Man, bear,
what
pig.
man, bear, pig. That's exactly what we're gonna get cereal here, and that's how that terminology for the abominable snowman came to be. It's like him doing that and just like butchering the fucking language and just called the abominable snowman. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so in that respect, that's how that even came a thing. Because like I otherwise had this guy in like he had a book called Mount Everest 1938, and during that time period for these sort of books, with like travel books and stuff like that, were always huge because people didn't travel, so they read about travel. So people like this guy. There was a guy during the time who was like a big game hunter, or not really a game hunter. He was a big game collector, so like animal collector. Would travel, so like he wrote a bunch of books that people like really got involved with and stuff like that. And so him writing that in a book that became like a bestseller, suddenly it's oh yeah, it must be true. It's like saying oh yeah, it's House Hufflepuff is a vernacular now. So yeah, wizards must be real because of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just like it. The fact is, I go that's more. I found that portion of stuff interesting than just like Bigfoot in the snow, which is what usually most people equate the Yeti and the abominable snowman as just being Bigfoot in the snow.
Yeah, I was just looking at one about that. He found it in the Himalayas. Eric Shipton. Yeah. He was like, he proved the existence because he took a random path to try to get up to Mount Everest and found a footprint.
Yeah. Well, then like there's the pre-Buddhist Buddhist beliefs of the Himalayan people that the Lepcha people worshipped a glacier building, who was also known as the god of the hunt, and the Bon religion also believed that the blood of the wild man had use in certain mystical ceremonies. So they always depicted a kind of an ape-like creature who carries a large stone as a weapon and makes a whistling swoosh sound. So very much in the same vein, um, and that's like pre-Buddhist. So you're looking at so yeah, you're looking at like 10 or 15. It's like 10-ish thousand BC, that sort of thing. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
I just found this other one, and it's got this great headline: "Mystery solved. Not Yeti, but close."
Delete.
This
Delete.
is from a. um, this is from March 16th, 2015. It says that a year ago, genetics reported that RNA extracted from hair samples attributed to the Himalayan Yeti monster, aka the abominable snowman, were actually most similar to the 40,000-year-old genetic signature of the now extinct breed of polar bear. So, what we were just talking about.
Yeah, it's the weird, the mutant polar bear,
Mm-hmm.
or the probably normal polar bear that the mutants took over, because that's usually how it works. Um,
Yeah, you don't want to call it weird. That's mean.
well, it's like that we have room to talk about weird. Uh, no, actually, it's one of those weird things. Like what 500,000 years ago, something like that. Everything had a giant whatever, like giant sloth, giant armadillo, giant whatever. So giant polar bear, not surprising. Um, Saber-toothed tigers were like 4 times the size of regular tigers. It was just crazy. So
Yeah.
that's how it goes. But like it's yeah, I think abominable snowman at best is a bear, or just trick. I mean, snow trick of the snow, because all you're seeing is snow. Your eyes don't know what to see anymore. So it gets kind of tricky.
Yeah. And like you get snow blind because it's so bright and everything. Nobody thinks about that.
Or or you do things like in Japan. You go to a quick thing in Japan. They have a thing called Monster Mountain, which all it basically what it means. What happens is that the way the snowstorms happen there, the snow and the ice will hit like trees and things in such a way that it looks like the profiles and the shadows look like creatures. And so at night, or if you're not looking right, or just like in the snow, if you glance up, you'll see a shape that looks like a creature, and it turns out just that's just how the snow and ice hit. It's just like it happens all the time there with such frequency that they have like a forest that's like just looks like creatures.
Now
So
that's the Japanese government telling you that it's just creature or that it just looks like creatures. Turns out it really is. Can't trust the government, people.
which I mean, Japan does have their suicide forest, so which is a real thing. People go, they go to this one that literally is like that's where people go to go kill themselves, is this one particular forest. It
Oh,
real
I
real
know.
goddamn thing.
Yeah,
And
I don't get it, but to each their own.
yeah. Oh hey, Carnival Dean underscore Demon just followed us. Thank you for following the channel, Carnival Demon. It's really cool that you're following us. We may or may not know you. I don't know. But it's one of those, and you're following us just in
Who
time for us to
knows?
say we're about to head out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in for our nice and fun chat about snow demons. I think we'll probably revisit Yeti and Abominable Snowman in a lot greater detail at some point. Because
Probably.
it's just at one point we're going to get bored going, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. Let's just talk about the Yeti. All
We need
right,
to
cool. We'll
figure
go
out
deep dive.
why Bumbles bounce.
Why Bumbles bounce? That's very, very important. And why, of all things, a goddamn dentist? All right, so what do you have? You got anything to plug?
No, just the show Saturday. Same thing as you. You've got Wednesday as well, but yeah, I've only got Saturday. My guest is I don't have a guest yet, but I will have somebody by the end of the week.
That's fair. All right, cool. Then, so yeah, Wednesday at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. I've got the Devil's Hour, which is I'm starting. It's a new year, so I'm starting a new season. So I've changed up some stuff on the channel and stuff like that. So it's for the show. So it should be a lot of fun. Got some really great guests. I'm working on stuff. I've found it's a lot more fun to surprise people for the show because we don't know what's going to be on. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wonderful. So it's 10 p.m. Central Standard Time right here, the Devil's Hour. Myself and all the weird, crazy shit I can find on the internet. And then Saturday, we have our little sideshow Saturdays where Scouts will be doing the stupid live stream for stupid people at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. I will have the G Spot at 9 o'clock. I'm still confirming one guest. I definitely have somebody for next week. Person I was kind of talking about for this week had to push it back till next week anyway, so I'll have something soon. Everybody will know about it by Wednesday. And then next week, right here on the Gaffing the Truth, grab your drinks, grab your juice boxes, uh, pull up your blankies, grab your wubby. We're going to be talking about kid shows and some of the weird shit about kid shows. And we might get a little dark, but I think mostly out lightning because there's some weird shit, like both funny and just weird about them. And I figured it'd be a fun thing to talk about.
Oh yeah.
because there's some weird shit with kid shows. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. We definitely do appreciate it. And as always, be safe, be cool, be groovy, and as always, keep drinking.